My Caucasian girlfriend slapped me in a bar, not out of anger, but to impress her friends. That moment told me everything I needed to know.
My name is Orion, though most people just call me Ori. Everyone except Harper. She always used my full name, said it sounded mysteriously handsome, even on the days I felt anything but. For almost 3 years I loved her. I truly loved her. It was the kind of love that makes you try harder, listen longer, and forgive things you probably shouldn't. But sometimes love blinds you to the truth. And sometimes the truth arrives in the form of a slap to the face. It all happened one night when her friends planned a bar hangout. You know the scene, loud music, sticky floors, neon lights painting everyone in strange colors. The air was thick with the sound of men bragging at the counter and her friend group swirling in their own little world. Lena, Willow, and Ava. They were always together, always louder than the room, always hunting for gossip like wolves chasing blood. I never quite fit in with them. I was too quiet, too observant, just not nearly chaotic enough for their tastes. But Harper always insisted, "You're part of the crew, Orion. You belong with me." She would smile when she said it, that radiant smile that could make you forget anything. And like the complete idiot in love that I was, I believed her. We were crammed into a booth, the cheap upholstery sticking to my back, when the conversation shifted into their usual style, tearing strangers apart for entertainment. Tonight's target was a guy who got humiliated on a dating app. They were reenacting his messages, mocking his grammar, roasting him like they were on stage at a comedy club. I tried to laugh politely, a tight, forced sound that felt foreign in my own throat. But inside, this uncomfortable feeling was twisting in my stomach. Then Lena leaned forward, her eyes gleaming with a mischievous, almost cruel light. "You know, relationships are basically just about who can embarrass their partner worse." Ava nodded eagerly, her drink sloshing over the side of her glass. "Facts, if he can't take a joke, dump him." Harper laughed along with them. It wasn't a laugh directed at me, but it was with them. That should have been my first warning sign, a bright red flag waving in the dim bar light. Then Willow, ever the instigator, nudged Harper. "I bet you won't do something to prove Ori's a good sport." A switch flipped in Harper's eyes. They lit up with a bright, reckless energy, a look I'd seen before but never, ever directed at me. She smirked and said, "Oh, he can take anything." "Watch this," I remember turning toward her, a confused question forming on my lips. But I didn't even have time to flinch. Her palm struck my face with a sharp, sickening crack. The sound was louder than the music, louder than the chatter, louder than anything else in the entire world. My head snapped sideways. A searing heat exploded across my cheek and my breath caught in my throat. For a moment, the whole bar blurred into a dizzying smear of light and shadow. It felt like I was standing in the middle of a burning room, paralyzed, unable to move. And then the laughter hit me. It wasn't just a chuckle. It was a wave of pure, unadulterated amusement. Her friends were practically screaming with it. Lena clapped her hands together like she'd just witnessed the performance of a lifetime. Ava cackled so hard she nearly slid out of the booth. Willow covered her mouth, a weak attempt to pretend this was all just jokes. And Harper? She was smiling, proudly, like she had just accomplished something great. "Oh my God, Ori, calm down," she giggled, waving her hand dismissively. "It was just a joke. You're being so dramatic." In that instant, something inside me cracked. It wasn't anger. It wasn't even humiliation. It was something much colder, much sharper. It was clarity. The kind of clarity that arrives in absolute silence and doesn't leave. I stood up slowly. The legs of the chair scraped against the floor, a sound that cut through the noise. Even with the bass pounding through my chest, something in the air shifted. People at the tables nearby sensed it. Harper's smile finally faded, replaced by a flicker of annoyance. "What are you doing?" "Don't be weird. Sit down." I didn't say a word. I just walked toward the restroom, my legs feeling strangely steady. I locked myself in a stall and stared at my reflection in the grimy mirror. The red mark on my face was already starting to bloom. It wasn't the pain that got to me. It wasn't even the sting of the slap itself. It was the realization that washed over me, cold and undeniable. I had fallen in love with someone who didn't respect me. maybe she never had. All those times she'd said she loved me, all those moments I thought were real, they all felt like lies now. Inside that echoing bathroom, with the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, I made a decision. It was a decision that felt stronger, steadier, and clearer than anything I'd felt in years. When I walked out, I didn't go back to the booth. I walked straight to Harper, who was now whispering with her friends, shooting me irritated looks. "I'm heading out," I said, my voice even. She rolled her eyes. "What? No, don't be like this. Sit down, you're ruining the vibe." I didn't answer. I just turned and walked out of the bar into the cold night air. I left behind the slap, the laughter, her friends, all that noise. And I left behind the version of myself who tolerated things he never, ever should have. That night was the beginning of the end, but it was also the beginning of me. It taught me that real love doesn't ask you to sacrifice your dignity for a joke. It doesn't celebrate your humiliation. Real love protects you, especially when you're vulnerable. Leaving her was one of the hardest things I've ever done, but it was also the most necessary. Sometimes you have to walk away from the person you love to find the person you were meant to be. If you're in a situation where you feel disrespected or unsafe, please know you are not alone and you are not being dramatic. Your feelings are valid. True strength isn't about taking a hit. It's about knowing when to walk away. Thank you for listening to my story. If this resonated with you, I hope you'll subscribe and join our community. Take care of yourselves.